So let's now focus on the last lesson in Module 6. Talks about compounding more than once a year. What if the money invested is compounded not only annually but semi-annually, quarterly, or monthly? So in this term, in this case, it will be compounded many times or in a year, respective year. So it goes like this. Say for example, if you have here the problem. Suppose the two groups of depositors deposit 1 million pesos in a cooperative bank. Group A earns compound interest each month at a rate of 1%, while Group B earns compound interest quarterly at a rate of 3%. Observe the compounding effect of the two groups of depositors based on the table below. Which group earns more than the other group? So what's the difference between Group A and Group B in the problem? In Group A, the compound interest is compounded how many times a year? Monthly, meaning 12 times in a year. However, in Group B, the money is compounded quarterly. So how many quarters are there in a year? It means there are 4 quarters. So that's the difference between what will the Group A and what will the Group B earn after several times. Okay, let's have this table. This is for Group A. We know that it will be compounded monthly, therefore we'll consider from the first month until the 12th month. Okay, it will be compounded in monthly in 1 year. So we have here in the first month, you will just simply multiply 1,000 times 1.01. Why is it 1.01? Because the rate given here is 1%. So you will just rewrite it into decimal form, which is you will divide it by 100 or move 2 decimal places to your left. That is 0.01. However, you will still add that one by 1. So the answer is 1.01. The answer here in the first month, the investment will now become what? 1,010 pesos. However, in Group B, you have the money which is 1,000 pesos. You will just simply multiply it by 1.03. Why is it 1.03? Because in the problem, the rate given is 3%. So that's the difference between the two. In Group B, the rate is now 0.03. So in the first, second, and third month, or in the first quarter, one quarter involves 3 months. In the first quarter, the earning of Group B is 1,030 pesos. In the second month, in Group A, you will base it from the total earning in the previous month, which is 1,010. You multiply it by 1.01 until the last month. So the total investment in the second month is 1,020 pesos and 1 centavos. Also, in the third month, same as usual, we will base it from the earning that we have in the second month times 1.01. The answer is 1,030 pesos and 3 centavos. So if you are going to compare the two in the first quarter or in the first 3 months in Group A, the earning or the total invested money in Group A differs with 3 centavos compared to the earning of Group B. In the second quarter, as what you could see also, the earning in around 6 months in Group A is 1,061 pesos and 51 centavos. However, in the second quarter, at the end of the second quarter in Group B, the earning is now 1,060 pesos and 9 centavos. So, as you can see, the two values here differs. If it is compounded monthly, the more the investment will you have compared to compounded quarterly. And lastly, let's look at the last row. We have the earning is 1,126 pesos and 83 centavos. However, in Group B, the earning is 1,125 pesos and 51 centavos. So again, as what you can see, if the money is invested compounded monthly, the earning is more than if it is compounded quarterly. Even if the percentage or the rate is 3%, if you will divide 3% in 3 months for the first quarter, they are most likely the same, right? Because in Group A, 1% is given every month. In Group B, 3% is given in every quarter. So in 1 month, 1% is the interest rate among the two groups. So how will you conclude from this? You will compare the earning that we have in Group A and Group B. As you can see, the Group A earned more by 1 pesos and 32 centavos than that of Group B. Most likely, it's based from the compound interest, because the compound interest is calculated from the accumulated in previous interest. So if it is compounded monthly, the more the interest will be gained compared to quarterly. Second example, compare the compound amounts with a given principal of 20,000 pesos after 4 years when compounding annually that earn an annual interest rate of 2% at the end of the year, and semi-annually that also earn an annual interest rate of 2% in 2 terms, 1% after 6 months and another 1% after another 6 months. So how are you going to interpret the problem here? If you lack the comprehension and analysis to understand the problem in our first reading, you can read it again. So in the problem, you are given the compound amounts, you are given principal, which is 20,000 pesos after 4 years. The first is, it is compounded annually with an interest rate of 2%. In the second, it is compounded annually with 2% in 2 terms, 1% after 6 months and another 1% after another 6 months, meaning this is compounded semi-annually because in 1 year, it is compounded twice, right? How will we illustrate, or how will we help others understand how to interpret the problem? Let's have this here. In our time, we'll start with 6 months, that is 1/2 of a year, then 1 year, then 1.5, then 2 years, then 2.5, then 3 years, until 4 years. Now, in the first year, in option 1, which is compounded annually at 2%, it is computed from the principal, which is 20,000 multiplied by 1.02. Why is it 1.02? Because the interest rate is 2%. If you're going to convert that one in decimal form, you will divide it by 100. So 2 divided by 100, that is 0.02. And add by 1 plus r, so that is 1.02. You multiply it to the principal, you get 20,400 pesos. So in option 2, we will compute the amount at the end of the year from the principal. You multiply it by 1.02 because the rate is 2% plus 1, that is 1.02. The answer for the first 6 months is 20,200 pesos. However, for another 6 months, at the end of another 6 months, that is 1 year, you will base it from the previous earning that you had in the previous 6 months. 20,200 times 1.02 is 20,402. So as what you observe, the earning from option 1 to option 2 now differs. 20,400 for option 1 within 1 year, but in option 2, it increases to 20,402. So, same as usual, in 1 year and a half, you will base it from the earning that you have in the first year, 20,400 times 1.02, that is 20,808. In option 2, for another 6 months after 1 year, that is, you have the earning from the previous, from 1 year, which is 20,402, you multiply it by 1.02, so the answer is 20,606 pesos and 2 centavos. From that, you will multiply it by 1.02. At the end of 2 years, the earning is now 20,812 pesos and 8 centavos. So if you are going to compare it from option 1, you can see that the earning in option 2 is more than the earning in option 1. Now the question from the previous problem is, you need to compare. So after comparing from the table that we have observed, this is now your comparison. So option 2 investment scheme gives higher interest, higher earning than option 1 because the interest in option 2 is compounded twice a year. The more you compound it, the more times you compounded it in a year, the more the earning you will have after how many years. So option 2 is compounded twice a year with 6 months conversion period, and the frequency of conversion is 2. Why? Because in a year, there are 2 conversion periods, that is 6 months in each. Therefore, 2 is the frequency of conversion period. The total number of conversion periods is 8 because it's within 4 years. 4 times 2 is 8. The investment covered is within 4 years. 1% is the rate of interest for each conversion period with a nominal rate of 2%. So that's it. Now, the table below shows the example of interest rate for each period, nominal rates, and the frequencies of conversion. So take note that in the first column, it is all about 1 conversion period. The second column is all about nominal rate of interest. The third column is all about frequency of conversions. And the fourth column is all about interest rate per conversion period. So in the first year, If 3% is compounded annually, meaning I to the power of 1 for the first year, that is 1, equals 0.03. So you have 3 divided by 100, or you will move twice to your left. The answer is still 0.03. So the frequency of conversion here is 1. Why? Because in a year, there is also 1 year. So the frequency of conversion period is 1. The interest rate per conversion period is calculated through the nominal rate divided by the frequency of conversion. So here, 0.03 divided by 1, that is just 0.03. If you are going to convert that one in percentage form, you will just simply multiply by 100%. The answer is 3%. What if it will be compounded in 6 months? So how many months are there? How many 6 months are there in a year? Meaning, there are 2 frequency of conversions. First is for the first 6 months. Second is for the last 6 months in the year. So 3% is compounded semi-annually. Therefore, you have I to the power of 2 is equal to 0.03. Again, you divide it by the frequency of conversions, which is 2. The answer is 0.015 or 1.5%. For 3 months, 3% compounded quarterly, because in a quarter, it involves 3 months. It is within 3 months, right? So, you have I to the power of 3 is 0.03. Now, how many 3 months are there in a year? Simply divide 12 by 3, that is 4, meaning the frequency of conversions is 4. The interest rate is you will divide the nominal rate by the frequency of conversions, meaning the answer is 0.0075, or if you are going to multiply by 100%, that is 0.75%. How about if it's monthly? 1 month. How many months are there in a year? That is 12. So the frequency of conversions is 12. 3% compounded monthly, meaning you have your I to the power of 12, which is 0.03. So we'll divide 0.03 by 12 as the frequency of conversions. We now have 0.0025, or multiplying it by 100%, we have 0.25%. Lastly, if it's daily, the frequency of conversions, of course, in 1 year, we have 365 days. So the frequency of conversions is 365. You now divide 0.03 by 365. That is 0.000082. If you are going to multiply that one by 100%, the answer is 0.0082%. So from the maturity value or the future value in compound interest formula, F equals P times the quantity of 1 plus J to the power of T, we can compute the compound amount when principal is invested at an annual interest compounded annually. Thus, we have future value is P times the quantity of 1 plus R raised to the power of T, where J is your nominal rate divided by the frequency of conversions, M. This is the rate for each conversion period. Aside from that, you have here the compound amount formula when compounding is computed more than once a year. So we have here f is equal to p times the quantity of 1 plus j raised to the power of n. Why is it that we change it from t to n? Because this time, n is now your number of times that the interest is compounded. Or it is just simply m times t. That's why we change the variable t to n so that n will now represent m times t. That is what we will use in our formula later on. Now, based from this one, we can also get the future value. So divide both sides by the quantity of 1 plus j raised to the power of n. We have now p is equal to f divided by 1 plus j raised to the power of n. So these are the following formulas that we will use later in our problem solving. Let's have problem number 1. How much will Mr. De Los Reyes pay on his loan of 100,000 pesos, both the principal and interest, at 15% after 3 years compounded quarterly? So first and foremost, let's understand the problem. So we have here the loan amount is 100,000 pesos. We have the interest rate is 15% and the time is 3 years. So we have here the computation. Based from the problem, we have the present value is 100,000 pesos. However, you are given the nominal rate, which is 15%. If you will convert that one in decimal form, that is 15 divided by 100 is 0.15. And your time now is 3 years. Now, since it is compounded quarterly, how many quarters are there in a year? Yes, that is 4. Correct. Meaning, we will use 4 as your m here and 3 as your t here. So later on, we can solve for n. So step 1 will solve for the interest rate per conversion period, that is j equals the nominal rate. How many quarters are there in a year? 3 divided by m. 0.15 divided by 4, that is 0.0375. Second step is you need to solve for n, which is just simply m times t. That is 4 times 3 is equal to 12. In step 3, we will use this formula here. F equals p times the quantity of 1 plus j raised to the power of n. So substituting, we have now 1 plus our j is given, is what we derived in step 1, raised to the power of m times t, which is 12. So we add first 1 plus 0.0375. After adding, you raise to the power of 12. And the answer, you multiply it by 100,000. So your maturity value is now 156,000 pesos. But since you want to know your interest here, so you have 156,000 pesos minus your 100,000 pesos as your present value. Your interest is now 56,000 pesos. So let's now consider the second problem. Suppose Mr. Reyes invested money at 2% compounded monthly. What is the present value of 25,000 pesos due for 2.5 years? So here in this problem, first and foremost, we will identify what are given, but after identifying, we need also to compute for the interest rate in a conversion period, or that is J. Also, we need to compute for N as the number of conversion periods. After that,
we will find for the present value which is asked in the problem. So let's start. Let's now follow step 1, that is to solve for the interest rate per conversion period. We have I raised to the power of 2.5, which is our time, divided by m. So 0.02 divided by 12 is 0.0017. Step 2, we will solve for n. N is just simply m times t. That is, we have m is 12 times the time is 2.5. So that is just 30. Now, substituting everything to the formula that we have here, your future value is 25,000 pesos. Your J there that's been solved in step 1 is 0.0017, and our N is 30. So, we'll simplify first the denominator. 1 plus 0.0017 is 1.0017 raised to the power of 30. After you get the answer, 25,000 divided by 1.0, the answer here, the product of the two, is your final answer. So, our present value now is 23,809 pesos and 52 centavos. Therefore, in our conclusion, we have 23,809 pesos and 52 centavos is the present value. And that ends our lesson for today, lesson 4 in module 6.